Okay, so now it's your sophomore year. You got the keys to the car. Shit going crazy. Dick Vitale. Sherman Douglas throwing alley hoops and Sherman baby, man. Y'all get to the NCAA championship. First time you get the keys. How you feeling that Final Four, man? Because you looking like you calm. Is you scared? You nervous? How you feeling?
I'm not. Well, probably the only game I probably was a little bit nervous was probably North Carolina to get to the Final 4 because you like, okay, we win this one, we there.
Right. Was Kenny Smith that? Cause it was
Kenny Smith was definitely on that team.
Okay.
And it was J.R. Smith. He was, I think, J.R. Reed. J.R. Reed, he was there. Okay. And I can remember going up against them, and I said, if we get this one, I'm going to be really happy.
Right.
It was one of those situations where I was thinking about myself, just a couple of years ago, Michael Graham won a championship, coming from Spring On. Can we do it?
Right.
Can I do it? And after we won that game, I was happy. I was like, we there. And I knew we had to play Providence. We had a lot of success against Providence. I thought we could win that game. And it was like all the things that I've worked my heart about is coming true. My first year starting, not only my first year starting, I'm the leading scorer on the team my sophomore year. So I was like, okay, this is good for me. What made my job a lot easier that year was the people I had around me. Dirk Coleman, Ronnie Cycli, Stephen Thompson, and even Greg Moreau and Howard Trish, who were seniors, but they wasn't the most talented players, but they were steady. They were the captains of our team. Made my job a lot easier.
Okay. So when y'all get the championship, y'all play Indiana Bobby night. I still can see it again. I know you see it way more than I can see it, but what was the difference? I mean, was it a better team? Was it out coach y'all? What was the difference?
We basically didn't finish the game. I wouldn't say they were a better team. We just didn't finish the game. We were up late minutes. We missed a couple of front ends of 1-1, and we didn't finish the game. That's what it was about. If we could have hit a couple of front ends of 1-1, we could have won the game, but we didn't. It hurts. It still hurts right now because you were so close to achieving what you wanted to do. All those suicides that you ran early in the year and everything, and we don't win that game, it hurts.
So it's true, when you lose those championship games, that pain stays with you the rest of your life.
It hurts. I can remember going up to Syracuse a couple of months ago and talking to some of the guys and like, man, we lost that game. And some of the guys say, I can't even watch that game anymore. That's how much it hurts.
Right.
And it's a tough loss.
In that game right there, when I see that clip, me and a couple of buddies, our personal friends, we always laugh and joke, man. Did you try to keep
I
smart
did.
up after the game?
Yes, I did. I was frustrated. I was mad. Yes, I did.
I say, man, we see your feet kick. I say,
it was a dumb move. I was young. I was frustrated. But that was me back then.
Right. Okay. So Big East, like you say, back that time, man, was probably arguably the best conference in the country. Who was your nightmare? Who did you hate to wake up to see you had on your schedule the next day?
In the Big East?
In the Big East.
Nobody, really.
Because I remember one time we was talking on the phone, and you said, man, got problems. You got to chase that motherfucker Dana Burrows. He run around or something like that.
If you look at it as a team or a player, there was always a tough individual. Dana Burrows was tough. The one player that I used to have was like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. If he's hitting his jump shot, was Billy Donovan.
Okay.
Billy Donovan had a nice crossover. They was going to press full court, and he could shoot distance threes. So I was like, if he's on that night, it's going to be tough for me to guard him. Fortunately, what I did was always push up on him and make him go to the basket because he wasn't a great finisher, and I had big guys, Ronnie Cycli and Dirk Coleman behind me to block his shot. But they were, one thing that I realized that I've taken, you can't take nobody lightly.
Right.
If you take anybody lightly, they're going to kick your butt. So you have to be mentally and physically ready to prepare each team. You can't say, man, oh, we got a cupcake, we got an easy team, or we're going to, it doesn't work that way. The higher level you get, the more focused you have to be.
Can't take no lights off.
No lights off. Right. It's not going to work that way. It's not because it's like when you get into the NBA, you like, oh, that guy suck, he no good. If you're not ready to play, he can kick your butt. Right. The other teams get paid just as well as you get paid.
Right.
And they professional for a reason.
Right. When did you knew that you had NBA talent? When did you know I can play in the league?
Well, I always try to believe in myself that I did. I think that each year you go through freshman year, you kind of started like, okay, can I let me get some playing time? After my sophomore year, I was like, okay, this possibly can work. And each year you go on, okay, I think I can make it. You start watching the NBA a little bit more. Oh, you start matching up against, you think, oh, I can get him. Can I get him? Oh, he's tough. Oh, Isaiah Thomas. Ooh, that's going to be a tough matchup for you.
Right.
But it's only till you get there. Until you get there, because, you know, you had Pearl, who was great in high school, great in college. But it was a struggle for him in the NBA. So you're like, well, damn, if it was a struggle for him, how's it going to be for me? There's always a little doubt, but I always believed in myself.
And that's my next question segue to Pearl, because, like I said, when you went to Syracuse, he was there. Then you get drafted by Miami Heat, and he's there. So your mind going to Syracuse was the same going to Miami?
Well, I was actually frustrated that I went to Miami because that was their second season in the NBA. No, it was an expansion team. Nobody was like, oh, Miami, I didn't even know they had a team. And it was tough. But when I went there, and obviously I saw a friendly face in Ronnie Syke, who was on my team, and I knew the direction they wanted to go with young guys. That was the best. That was the best possible place I can go.
Right. So you weren't thinking about no taxes in Florida, the beaches, the girls. That wasn't in your mind.
That wasn't in my mind at all. It wasn't in my mind until I saw my check.
Right.
That was when it's coming to mind. Oh, okay, no state income tax and all that. Right. That's when you start thinking of that. Especially when I went to Boston and you saw Massachusetts state tax. That's a killer.
Right. I'm gonna take you back. A lot of people don't know about these games, but we had a game years ago, man, a street game where we played against Rayful Edmond's team. You know, I had my team with you on there, and I always want to ask you, man, when you was young, I think you were still in college right there. So you got all these street guys out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a possibility that you got missiles and everything out there, right?
Right.
I mean, first, how did you feel, or was you nervous, or was you just like, you know, how did you feel, man?
I grew up in Potomac Garden. It wasn't. And I'm not saying like I was a street guy,
right,
but I saw a lot of things that around my neighborhood,
right,
and I wasn't nervous at all. And one thing about me is, if you know me, I played down Arthur Capers,
right,
down there. I went to number 9, and it was Trinidad
right,
up
right,
there,
right,
and I got it from everywhere.
right.
That really didn't faze me. I can remember one time catching the bus when I was trying to figure out which Boys and Girls Club I wanted to play with. I went to number 11, my first one, because it was Southeast. So let me go to the number right over there, and in the back, I think it was Milwaukee Place or something like that, right over there. And I went there. That was me. I always wanted to go out and play.
Right.
So that game, and I knew everybody there. Right. It was difficult because, you know, when you go to college and you come back, this guy, he got missiles, like you said, he got missiles and everything. You don't know what somebody has turned himself into. Right. But I think it was a friendly game. Right. Everybody knew each other, so it wasn't like I was intimidated or anything like that.
Right. And now, I mean, fast forward that time, I guess, you should have a common sense. You knew it was some, you know, street guys out there, but then you see Rayful Edmond end up being, later on, getting locked up for the largest drug case in D.C. history, and you looking back seeing this on the news. Did it flash in your mind the magnitude of what you was doing, playing around them then, or was it just like, hey, it was just, I grew up around street guys, it was just what it is?
I heard of him when I was there, didn't know the magnitude of what was going on. I'm not saying I played with street guys. I mean, I played with guys who was in the streets. You never know who's who. But one thing I respected the guys on his team, and I'm quite sure they respected me. Right. You know, I think that one of the things that I did respect was I think we might talk about it, is Clarence Bootney Green. And I can remember y'all was one of the plays, was like a one-on-one game that we wanted to play.
Everybody wanted to see Sherman and Bootney.
And I didn't want to do it because I respect Bootney Green.
Right.
I respect the way he played.
Right.
Even when he was on our team in Spingarn, when you look at him, one thing about Clarence is he played hard. And I always say I respect people who play hard. And he didn't back down for nobody. Right. And I respect that. Right. And I couldn't play against him because I knew it was going to be something, because he knew how I played and I knew how he played. Right. And I respected him. Right. So I didn't want to play a one-on-one with him. And you don't want to lose people's friendship over that.
Right.
So I just didn't want to do it, and I respected him.
Fellow Greenway too.
Yeah, exactly.
But, right. And it's funny because I talk to Bootney all the time, and I remind him every chance we get. We beat y'all 2 times for the money. You know what I'm saying, man? Talk shit to him, right?
I can tell you one thing. That was a good summer for us, and me and Pendergrass and everybody. We lived. It was a lot of money for us. It may have been a lot of money for them, but we lived well that summer.
Right.
It was good for us.
Right. Yeah, man. And so it's like, and because it is a lot of times, like doing the work I do, mentoring and working with the youth, and then hearing people's perspective on street guys versus then and now, and I've heard things about street guys like misleading the youth or misleading the youngest and all that. And it's like when the era we come from, the street guys are trying to keep you guys away from the street, out of the street. So what's your perspective on that as far as coming up?
I think that for me, I look at my brothers, kept me away from certain things. The guys in the neighborhood, when they saw you was doing good for yourself, they kept you away. No, this is not for you. And I told my friends certain things, just because you see somebody making it, everybody's not built a certain way to be in that game. And I can remember a quote, everybody want to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit.
Right.
When it's time to do gangster shit, then you see that separate the strong from the weak. And that wasn't me. I didn't want to be in there. I think that it's nothing wrong with somebody who's been through a situation to come back and tell the youth, this is not good. It's going to end up my way, incarcerated or dead.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it. You have to speak from experience. You can tell us a better story than what I can because I didn't go through that. Right. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think that sometimes if they see the glory in the guys, what they see on TV is not good.
Okay, and I want to back up a little bit before you got to the league. You was invited to the Olympic trials in 1988.
Yes.
Also, Bootney went to that trials too. Too. Why did you make that team? What happened? Your opinion, obviously.
Well, that was Coach Thompson was the coach. He wanted to have a certain particular way, a certain style of how he wanted that team to be more probably like Georgetown. But I think international play is totally different than what it is in the States. You have different rules. The game is shorter, and they had men, and we had pretty much boys on that team, and they lost. And I think that changed the tide of us having pros on that team because the other countries had pros. They had Sabonis, who was a man, and other. Other countries. Right.
So they would say all those practices every day with going off for the Olympics. That was like an all-star. You had all the guys in the country.
You had a lot of good guys on that team. I remember I think Ross Strickland was there, Pooh Richardson was there, just speaking of point guards, and I think Gene Smith was there practicing, if I'm not mistaken, and he was out of the league.
He was out of the league, but he was practicing with y'all.
He was practicing with us, but that's his. Thompson wanted that pressure in your face. And he had a particular style. That's why Charles Smith was on that team because he was one of his guys. He wanted one of his guys to be on that team to play the way that he was used to coaching.
Right. And if you look at traditionally, like how Bobby Knight took Steve Alford, it's like them coaches always take a guy. Not downplaying the guys. I'm just saying, but I've noticed that. Do you think that play a part in their system?
Of course it does. It plays a part in the system, but the guys weren't horrible players. They were good players, but he want one of his guys to be on the team. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I always look at Charles Smith as a good example of just perseverance, going hard. You know what I'm saying? And I always respect him for that, man. And him, we have a lot of back and forth talking trash to each other too. With the spin on and St. Alfred joint. Actually, he coming up here next too. But so when you get in the league, now you're in the league. What's the first player you seen like, God damn, I'm on the court with?
Magic. I'm going to tell you that now. Magic was my man. Magic was my man, even with more than Michael at that particular time because I was a point guard. I saw how Magic passed the ball. I saw how he ran the offense. I saw how he made everybody on his team better at just getting the ball in right situations. So with Magic, I was like, oh, man, I'm on the court with Magic.
Right.
But I can also remember playing and then, seeing like Doc Rivers. I can remember Mo Cheeks picking me up full court, and I got stuck when I crossed half court. He caught me in the corner, and I was like, "Oh Lord!" So back then, it taught me how to be prepared for everybody. I can remember a guy on my team was a backup. Started for me backup. Roy Sparrow was on my team. went to Villanova, and we always had side bets of what do's and don't do. And this is something having a good veteran on your team. He said, Sherman, whatever you do, don't cross over in front of Dennis Johnson. I was like, why? He said, he's going to take the ball from you.
Right.
DJ was about 6'2", 6'3", but he had long arms. So I went on the court, crossed it over, boom, he stole it from me. I had to give him $100. You know, things best like that. I bet you Muggsy stripped the ball from you. No, he ain't anybody taking the ball. You know, you ain't taking the ball. Muggsy picked you up full court, got it stripped, boom, had to get. Those are the things. Don't let, like with Michael Adams, don't let him hit a three. He going to go right, he going to hit a three. Don't let him do it. We always had bets. It keeps you abreast of mentally the game. The game is mentally as well as physically. Being prepared, of watching film, taking guys' strength away from them. If this guy likes to go left, make him go right, force him this way. Oh, when they run this play, he likes to get his points off there. If he gets rolling early, it's going to be a long night for you. So if you're not as talented as the other guys, you have to be as smart as the other team or smart as the other guy. And knowing that, okay, this is what he likes to do. Let me take him out of this.
What was the first player you played that just straight up that day, they just got the best of you? I mean, they just humbled you. They give you 30 or 40, man.
A couple of guys were probably either KJ or Mark Price.
Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson. You have to, and I'm thinking about my rookie year. It's going from east to west. West Coast was totally different than the East Coast. East Coast was pounding ground. West Coast was open court. You take a jump shot, the guy flies past you, and it's open court. It's open season, so you have to be prepared for that. And Mark Price was difficult because he could stop on a dime, hit a three, and then they had Price. They had Doherty, Nance, and John Williams setting picks for him. And he was difficult because he was running off screens. Most of the guards that you play is right in front of you. You don't really have to chase like Curry. You don't really have to chase guys all the way around. That was different for me, of chasing guys all the way around off screens and somebody else handling the ball and screen. So if he hit in the first couple of threes, it's like, uh-oh. And then he had a nice crossover where he can get by you. So certain guys you didn't want to get off early because it could be a long night.
Yeah, and I remember I was incarcerated during that time when you first got in the league, and they was like, man, your man Sherman, they got commercials, man, and all that type of stuff. Who were some of your sponsors?
Well, that was probably a Nike commercial. I remember the Nike commercial early because it's hard because you're in Miami and nobody know about that team. It's not like the Miami now. It's Miami where I can remember we playing the Knicks, Boston, Philly, and we go out for warm-ups. The whole team, the whole crowd will be for them. And I'm like, well, why are they cheering for the other team and then the whole team? Then you have to realize, like you say, with the state tax and everything, all the people from up north come down the south in the wintertime, and that's who they home team. That's who they cheer for. It's different now because you have a lot of people who love Miami. The organization's run right. There's a great direction with Pat Riley and all those guys, and they're on the right track.
Because I remember when Wade first went there and he started doing his thing, and every time we break a record, it was like he was breaking Sherman Douglas record. I was like, damn, Sherman putting in work. And I realized, though, it was still an early – and the team was young, early franchise team. So you end up,
and I wasn't there for like 2.5 years.
Right.
So you know, it was easy to get that.
Yeah, he was snatching them all. I said,
he did it.
Well, what's his name? So your favorite player, Magic Johnson, contract HIV, the biggest story in the world at that time. You becoming to be free agent. The talk is that Sherman's possibly going to L.A. I mean, that's all the sports show was saying, everybody in jail was saying it. You end up going to Boston. Was that deceptive, or was that some stuff behind the scene? How did that play out?
Well, I signed an offer sheet with the Lakers. Miami matched it. I played for Miami again for probably a handful of games, maybe 8 to 10 games. And you know, it was a different coach. There was different offense, and I was like, if they don't really want me here, let me go somewhere else. And I knew Boston had wanted me. Obviously, with Dave Gavitt was there from the former commissioner of the Big East. He was there. He looked for me. And then I looked, I said, oh, and I get 15% more money? Let me get out of here. But then, you know, looking back on it now, it was a difficult choice, but it was a good move for me going to Boston. playing with veteran players on the team and the tradition of their team.
Did LA ever show interest in you? That was just rumors?
They gave me the offer sheet.
They gave the offer sheet.
Right.
And
Miami
Boston
matched it. Yes.
Miami matched it.
Yes.
Oh, Miami matched it.
Miami matched
Oh,
it.
I thought
Miami
Boston
matched because I was still a property of Miami.
Right.
So Miami matched it. I played like handful of games, maybe 10 games with Miami, and then I got traded to Boston.
Oh, okay. Damn, so that's what happened. Miami matched it. I thought all this long the Lakers matched it. Okay, so you end up going to Boston, so you there with Larry Bird, right?
Yes.
McHale still there?
Yes.
They say Bird talked the most shit ever in the history of the game, man. You ever experienced any of that?
I didn't experience that because by the time I got there, this was Larry last year, and he was hurt a lot of times, and he was pretty much rehabbing. I've heard stories about that. You hear it on the team. I just knew he had a great work ethic. He was a guy that wanted us just to play hard and to do what possibly we can do to win. We were underhanded because the guys were older now. I think Kevin probably had one more year left. Robert Parrish was older than them. So it was tough for us, but he just wanted us to play hard. And that's what even Boston, being in that city, just play hard, give it your best, and let the chips fall where they may.
Right, and then when you get there, Reggie Lewis from Northeast for Baltimore, he ended up dying with a heart problem or something. And then you grew up, you come in the era when Len Bias died. I don't know what was Lewis' heart condition was about. What was going through your mind?
Wow,
Yeah.
That changes a franchise when you have the next generation of guys. Because Reggie Lewis was an all-star. He was giving up like 20-something points a game. Very good player, very good mid-range jump shooter. I like he had a crossover, lean back, fall-away jump shot, long arms. And you lose two great players that was going to be the next generation. It's tough for an organization. And we went through we made the playoffs a couple of years, but we were like the 7th or 8th seed. And it was tough for us because we didn't have our go-to guys anymore.
Right.
So we had to do what the best we had to do.
Right, yeah. Our good friend Howard Tinker, your high school player, he used to tell me about Reggie Lewis. He say this Reggie Lewis can straight up boogie, man, and he said he gonna be better than Reggie Miller. I say, man, that's a hard order right there, man. You know what I'm saying? But I ended up seeing him play. I was like, man, I would have liked to see how that ended up.
He was on track. He didn't have the range of Reggie Miller had, but he definitely had the mid-range game was on point. He could play. I mean, he was going to be a tough player.
Okay, and so what's the name? You end up going to Boston. So y'all end up making a playoff like 8, 9 seat. I want to say y'all played Charlotte one year with Morning and
right.
And
that was
Bowles.
We was a 5th seed. It was a 4-5 matchup right there. We were the 5th seed, and that's when the first game we played. I think Reggie probably had 20 in the first half or something like that. He was really, really playing well. And then after that, I think he passed out on the floor. I think we may won that game. Or we won that game, then lost the second one, then had to go to Charlotte, and then we lost our top scorer right there.
Right. So how many years you end up playing in the league?
12 years.
12 years?
Yeah.
And how your injuries? You set out in the years or you played?
Oh, man, 12 years, you're going to have sprain. Never nothing really dramatic. Sprained ligaments here and there. Obviously, a lot of twisted ankles. Nothing that really made me miss a whole year or anything like that.
What's your opinion about today's style of play versus your era style of play? What's a glaring difference, if there's any?
I like today's style of play. It's more open court. It looks like the guys has a lot more skills because you can show off your skill level a little bit more because there's not a lot of bump and grind, there's not a lot of forearm and hand check. So you can go in the gym and basically just work on your game, work on your skills of ball handling and shooting. The difference is they taking the power forward, the Charles Oakley. You don't see those guys no more.
Right.
It's basically small forward is your power forward. He's like 6'8", 6'10". He's powerful. He's skillful than just a bruiser rebounder. So the court is open. You may throw one big guy in the middle, and then they play off, feed off him, and they just spread it out. And you shoot threes.
What's your favorite player to watch in today's games?
I like Steph Curry. I like to watch. I like to watch in Golden State because they move the ball around. They pass the ball to each other. They're trying to find out, and they play defense. And Joel Embiid can play. I like watching him too. I mean, for a big guy, he has a lot of skills.
Right.
You know, even the guy in Denver, Djokovic, he can play. He has a lot. He can pass the ball.
Joker, he can play.
He can pass the ball. It's a lot of big guys who play in like European big guys back in the day, facing up more than back to the basket and passing the ball and having good skills.
Out the park, niggas know me. Curtbone, little homie. All days, all days.